a damn. Thank you. And now I'm going to make a very interesting transition, because my earlier career was actually building sports facilities in conflict areas and in post-disaster areas. And so I have a history of working in sports and sustainability. And I'm going to be opening a discussion with Alan Hershkowitz in New York on the value of sustainability in sport. I want to introduce Alan, who's calling all the way in from New York, and we're going to make a slight shift and talk about the value of sports and sustainability. So Alan, can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much for staying up and getting up early to join us today. So I want to talk a little bit about the value of not just facilities and how to create sustainability of facilities, but how do you activate both teams and fans within values of sustainability. So Alan has worked with everyone from the Yankees to Major League Soccer and basketball. Could you tell us a little bit about how you divide your time between advocating and implementing sustainable practices?
Yeah, well, first of all, hello, everyone. And it's wonderful to partake in a conference and a meeting that is focused on trying to figure out how to alleviate human suffering. There's nothing more meaningful than working to alleviate human suffering. And our methods are indirect too often, but getting together at a forum like this moves things forward. Look, the question is, how do we change the production sector that is continuing to pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and actually perpetuate other terrible ecological problems, not only greenhouse gases, but the proliferation of toxic waste, deforestation, ocean acidification. The number of ecological challenges that we're facing now is just overwhelming. Obviously, they're all related. So on the production side, the supply chain, remember 95% of a product's impacts happen before you open the package. It's on the upstream side where most damaging ecological impacts occur. At the forest, at the oil well, transporting the oil. There's over 10,000 oil spills a year on the world's oceans of 5,000 gallons or more. So the question is, how do you influence the culture of the production sector? With sports, every industry is either a supplier or a sponsor to sports. Now, remember, in the United States, less than 20% of adults follow science regularly, while approximately 80% follow sports. So if you want to promote climate literacy or environmental literacy, if you want to engage with people on information, you need to connect with where they are. I've been doing science for, frankly, over 40 years. For me, a lot of it has been exhilarating, but for the public at large, a lot of it is invisible because people don't read science. So the plastics industry is present at a sporting event. The energy industry, the transportation industry, the food industry, the textile industry, the water industry, all of these industries are suppliers or sponsors or both of sports. Collegiate sport, professional sports. So if we get the National Basketball Association or the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox or Manchester United, or AC Milan, or the International Olympic Committee to start to ask for environmentally preferable products, if they start to ask for renewable energy to power their venues and to shift to electric vehicle and to get out of single-use plastics, that message is coming from businesses, the sports sector. And remember, tens of billions of dollars every year is spent on market advertising by the private sector at sports venues. If auto companies, if banks, if clothing companies think that by getting visibility and affiliation with sports can help change the culture of the marketplace, can help influence people's behavior, why should we assume in the environmental community that our messaging, our affiliation with sports, can't be as equally effective? And remember, sports has been very, very influential when it comes to racial issues. We could go back, literally almost 100 years, where Jesse Owens, and of course more recently Jackie Robinson and Muhammad Ali. I could go on and on. Colin Kaepernick. But sports has been a powerful platform for promoting racial issues, and also gender bias, equal pay for women. In the United States, we have laws now that require certain levels of equal behavior towards women's sports, equal allocation of resources. So, of course, Billie Jean King and women's soccer. I mean, not long ago, women could not even attend a sporting event in the Middle East, and now, of course, they can participate very often. And remember, gender equality is Sustainable Development Goal number 5. So poverty alleviation, alleviation of hunger, promoting gender equality, promoting racial equality, all of these aspects of sustainability, and of course, climate action, can be influenced by sports. The Scope 3 impacts, the impacts of the goods and services. Scope 1 impacts is what happens at the venue. Scope 2 impacts is the energy that is bought to power the venue. And Scope 3 impacts are the plastics, the clothing, the food, the merchandise, the travel, the waste. All of those impacts right now are increasing. We still do not know how to make cement without fossil fuels. We don't know how to make steel or plastics. We can't fly without fossil fuels. Fossil fuels contribute to feeding half the planet through fertilizers. So, and in all of those sectors, emissions continuing to increase. The climate crisis is worsening, and there's no end in sight right now. So the question is, what are the platforms? How do we promote climate literacy and change behavior? We need every tool in the toolbox. Obviously, we need science. Obviously, we need government, major structural, systemic legislative initiatives, which we're not getting fast enough. We need, international cooperation. And right now, every professional sports organization in the world, the International Olympic Committee, UEFA, FIFA, the Yankees, the NBA, Major League Soccer, the National Football League, cricket, Australian cricket, the US Open Tennis Championships, Roland Garros, Wimbledon, the Australian Open. All of these organizations, all of these events have sustainability initiatives going on and are focused on measuring and reducing their greenhouse gases. So there's progress being made. In fact, the sports sector right now, I think, is one of the most vibrant components of the environmental movement internationally. There's a lot of work happening at sports venues. And of course, billions of people watch sports and pay attention to sports. Half the planet watched the Beijing Olympics and the Tokyo Olympics. And you literally could get, 1 billion people watch the finals of the World Cup. Now, obviously, they don't tune in to become environmentally informed or educated, but if they see their team, their home team, their local team, their favorite player paying attention to sustainability, it will basically normalize that type of behavior, which we need to increase. The problem is that the production sector is wedded to fossil fuels. The ruthlessness of the market does not go away because we have good intentions. Changing the plastics industry, 99% of all plastics are made from fossil fuels. Basically, virtually every airline flight is dependent on fossil fuels. As I said, cement and steel and fertilizers are all dependent on fossil fuels. If you like ecological transportation and you want to ride a bicycle, you can't make a bicycle without fossil fuels right now. So we've got a long river to row in terms of systemic change. The sports industry, is owned by economic and cultural elites, and often with government collaboration. So the message is getting to influential folks, and to have businesses like the New York Yankees or the NBA or UEFA or the IOC, which are not viewed as, they're not Greenpeace. They're viewed as, functioning businesses focused on entertainment and profit. To have them say, we want renewable energy, we want to reduce our plastics, we want to reduce our ecological impacts in general, that's very meaningful. And they're also embracing environmental justice and climate justice.
So, Alan, I want to just interject and ask a question, because I think sports teams and owners certainly can implement sustainable strategies. I know you've been extremely helpful to the Yankees in supporting them and advising them. I was just at a sporting game, sorry Benfica fans, but I was at a sporting game a couple of days ago, and there were 20, 30,000 people in the stadium, and so you can have your players, or you can have the stadium almost act as a microphone for some of these issues. Are there ways you're seeing, much like the NBA players have really brought racial justice issues at the forefront of the public's mind, are there sports, are there players that have embraced environmentalism and the environmental movement and have helped propel some of the projects and ideas that you've put forward with some of the teams you've worked with?
Yes, the answer is yes. And your question is right on, because outside of the family, the most influential role models are athletes and entertainers, actually athletes first. If I asked you who is your favorite athlete, you would probably be able to answer that question pretty quickly. If I asked you who's your favorite scientist, perhaps you'd have to think about that a little bit longer. There is a strong and growing movement of athletes who are embracing environmental communication, environmental messaging. By the way, the NBA has put on commercials on television about the need to enhance energy efficiency and to promote environmental responsibility. At the US Open, Venus Williams, Billie Jean King, some of the most prominent tennis players in the world are doing videos that are showed at major tennis events, encouraging folks to use public transit, promoting solutions and, education and literacy around solutions. There is an organization called Eco Athletes. I'm involved with Eco Athletes. And there are literally dozens and dozens and dozens of athletes around the world who are using their visibility and their platform to communicate about environmental literacy. In fact, I saw a video that you're going to be showing, I think, with one of our friends from from soccer, from Europe, from football. So whether it's a more climate-friendly menu at the venue. If you go to Yankee Stadium, and I don't only work with the Yankees, I work with, Major League Soccer, with the NBA, with the National Hockey League, with Major League Baseball, many, many organizations. If you go to Yankee Stadium, there's no waste bin. There's a composting bin and a recycling bin. And, the materials, the food service items are oriented towards compostability. And then, of course, what can't be composted, we direct towards recycling. So when people go to Yankee Stadium, they get the message that, there is no waste, that there's just materials that need to be managed in an ecologically smart way. So, every layer of the ecosystem, it's important to get athletes and entertainers to use their visibility to educate the public, because people pay attention to them and they set trends. But what's really important is to get the production system investments needed to get off fossil fuels, to get those investments accelerated and made. And that comes to ultimately what we're asking, from procurement, consumption. What are we asking for? Remember, the environmental impacts are population times consumption times technology. Population is going up about 225,000 people every day. Every 5 weeks, another New York City's worth of population on the planet. So population is growing, consumption is growing, government consumption, personal consumption is growing. And in fact, of course, it's growing because we spend all our time advertising, telling people to buy things. The economy is dependent on growth, and technology is still wedded to fossil fuels. 80% of the power generated in the world, of the energy in the world, comes from fossil fuels, 80%. So we have a long way to go to get off of fossil fuels. The science is telling us we need to reduce by 50% in 7 years, by 2030, if we want to have a chance of keeping the temperature to a 1.5 degree Celsius increase, which is what the Paris Agreement recommends. But right now we're on track to go through 3 degrees Celsius, according to the United Nations information. So the first courtesy that sports organizations owe their fans is telling the truth. There's a lot of misrepresentation about being carbon neutral, about being net zero, about using sustainable aviation fuel, about being plastic neutral. These terminology, these superlative terms of accomplishments are actually almost a form of climate denial. Because they're understating how complicated and difficult it is for us to make progress.
So, Alan, I'm just going to interject for a moment because I want to ask a wrap-up question. You are at the forefront of how sports facilities and sports teams can adopt both sustainability and science practices to educate in science. Do you see in the future a way that we can build facilities that are beneficial to the environment? Will we get to a tipping point where stadiums can be energy producers rather than consumers?
Absolutely. Look, we're starting to see sports venues used for other social purposes. Unfortunately and accidentally, but now it's planned. Sports venues are often used as emergency shelters during climate disasters. So now sports venues are being designed to anticipate that they may have to put people up as a homeless shelter during a catastrophe. So sports venues are designed to now accept voters. They are used as polling places for elections. Of course, they can be used to not only promote climate literacy, but to be energy generators themselves if they can use solar and wind with battery storage. But right now, remember, just getting them on renewable energy from the existing infrastructure, getting them to demand renewable energy from the marketplace helps send a message to the marketplace that we want more investments in renewable energy. And that's really the most urgent thing that we could get them to do. Get all sports venues should be on renewable energy. And some of the organizations I'm working with are thinking about getting all of their venues on renewable energy within the next few years. And that would be an enormous market message. And of course, it would be ecologically meaningful from a climate perspective. So yeah, look, sports can do, and remember, most of the impacts at a sporting event happen because of the design decisions of other industries. Okay, sports organizations do not produce the clothing. They do not produce the plastics. They do not fly the planes. They do not produce the cement or the steel, and they do not grow the food. This is their supply chain. So we need to use sports to put pressure, to educate, to encourage the supply chain to move towards ecological intelligence. And the sports market could help accelerate that shift in the marketplace towards environmentally preferable production.
Okay, Alan, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I know you've got to start your day. Definitely, if you ever come up to Buffalo, the Bills definitely need your help. So I'll be more than happy to see you up there for the real New York sports team. But thank you so much, and look forward to connecting in the future.
Yeah, well, God bless you all for what you're doing. And again, we got a long river to row. So whatever we could do, just have the courage to do little things. Nothing is too small to matter. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So, believe it or not, I'm the only panel where the actual person here is me. I produced 2 quick videos, one from the general manager of Real Betis, hopefully I got that right, like I said, fan, Rafael, and hopefully we can see that now.
Hello, Planetiers. I hope you are having a very productive conference. We are very, very happy to be here. We really appreciate the opportunity to present what we are trying to do in Real Betis Balompié through its platform Forever Green. Well, Forever Green is the platform that we launch as club in order to allow the organizations and citizens to tell what they are doing for the planet today in order to save it and to fight against climate change. It's open to companies, to NGOs, to volunteers, to any kind of organization, of course other clubs in the world, even other sports. And the idea mainly of the project is to use the loudspeaker of the most popular sport in the world, which we think is football, for show the world what they can do. We need to send a message of hope and a message of responsibility. And sports, and especially football, has a lot to say and a lot to do. From Forever Green, we are working on 5 areas, main areas, which are sustainability, sustainable mobility, nature, understood as what we can do around us, around the team, around the club, the stadium, and everything that we have in the territory close to us. We also have recycling as other of the areas, and we do campaigns and we try to work internally on that as well. We also have a very, very important area of work, which is the club. We need to improve how we do the things internally in the club, because otherwise there is no possibility to tell the people that they have to change things in their day by day. So we need to start internally at home, improving our performance in terms of environmental issues. And also we have the area of climate change. This area is the area in which we try our best to spread this message. Because of that, today, this is also this action to be here with you remotely. It's also a way to be part of this area of spreading the message of Forever Green, the emergency that we are all facing, and that we all should move and we should do something in this regard. So this is Forever Green. And of course, we all want you to join to this movement as well. Well, regarding the potential of sports and in relation with sustainability, our view is that we have a very important opportunity and a very, very important responsibility, since we have this connection with people. People practice sports everywhere, people watch and enjoy sports everywhere, and of course it's since it is so big activity around the world, the impact of the events related with the sports and all this kind of activity has to be a reference for the people, for the companies around the world, because the potential of this influence is huge and it can make the difference, of course. Regarding the achievements of Forever Green, since we launched it in October in 2020, almost 2 years ago, we are very proud to say that we have done more than 85 activities and different actions in these 5 areas that we talked before. Little by little, we are also improving our performance in terms of carbon footprint. My feeling is like everyone is knowing more and more each day the importance of Forever Green and with what we are trying to do with all our modesty and all our effort. Well, more than 60 companies and organizations joined the program, and since we launched it, we have reached more than 60 countries with our message and with our actions. So yeah, we are really happy with what we have achieved, but we need to work more and we need to reach more and more goals like we are doing at the moment. Regarding the challenge that we have nowadays as Forever Green and as club, of course, is to keep on working to engage more and more our fans, because they know the project and they know what we are trying to do, but we need to have them and to take part of this movement. This is why for us will be very important in the following season to have a very active group of volunteers and to do many actions, taking them with us and also having them participating in the decision taking about where we need to go and where what kind of actions we would like to perform during this year. And of course, each season we need to reduce our carbon footprint. We need to change little things, not only as club, but also each of the employees of the club. We all need to learn and we all need to change little things in the club, like switching off the lights or the air condition, or recycling more and more each day. Of course, keep on spreading this emergency message and react and put all that we have for the good of the planet.
So, first of all, thank you for the general manager for Rafael Real Betis. So, Erling Haaland is probably the most famous Norwegian footballer in the world, but the most famous Norwegian environmentalist footballer is Morten Thorsby, and he's joining us and giving us a quick video about We Play Green.
To make sure future generations can live and play like we do today, we need to restore balance with nature. We all need to change, but we cannot change if we are not made aware. Once aware, we will engage, and once engaged, we will change. By connecting more than 3 billion people across the globe, football has a unique possibility in taking a leading role, raising awareness and uniting us despite our differences in cultures, languages and religions. Players, clubs, business and supporters all have a role to play. This is a game we cannot afford to lose.
Hi, my name is Morten Thorsby and I'm playing for Sampdoria in the Serie A in the Norwegian national team. I'm concerned about the environmental problems we are facing, and I believe football has to do more to address these challenges. Therefore, last year I created the foundation We Play Green. We Play Green's vision is to help mankind restore its balance with nature. Our goal is to activate the 3.5 billion football fans all over the world by creating awareness and inspiration in partnership with clubs and players. Join us in this vital game Let's play to save the planet. So you may ask yourself, football and climate action, what role does football play in this fight? We Play Green believes football could take an active role in increasing the global climate engagement. So where do we start? Through the universality of football, we aim to make people aware of the science and the best climate solutions. There is already concrete science that points out the severity of climate change and the urgency for action on behalf of humanity to change our behaviors. The issue is, there are many individuals on this planet who are not aware, are overwhelmed, or do not believe in this emergency. But the science is clear. The planet is warming, but we still have time to avoid the worst consequences. And this is where football can play a fundamental part. Complementary to the 3.5 billion football fans is the fact that just a handful of football players are some of the most followed people on the planet. The top 3 football players on Instagram alone, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi and Neymar, reaches a near 900 million people. This leads us to our next question. How do we engage those that are aware? We believe that football reaches people on an emotional and social normative level and therefore can be used as a catalyst for climate action. For example, football has a major influence on social norms within consumerism. The entire football industry actively engages in extensive travel, fast fashion, single-use plastics, and energy and waste production. This creates a carbon footprint equal to the size of Denmark. So where do we go from here? We believe that engagement can lead to impactful chain reactions. Climate psychologist Christian Klöckner explains that humans are social beings and therefore wants to belong to herds. If there are prominent herd leaders that begin to demonstrate a more climate-friendly lifestyle, the rest of the herd will take after. We want the football players to become the herd leaders of the football family and that they actively advocate for a climate-friendly lifestyle. A great example of a chain reaction is how quickly the players and fans shut down the proposal of the European Super League in 2021. Within just 48 hours, fans and players around the world demanded the preservation and the authenticity of the game. They created a unified front against the money-making scheme initiated by the world's richest clubs. Fans, players and coaches came together under just 2 days, and just like that, the clubs listened. So imagine how big of a chain reaction we, the football family, could create if we work together. We Play Green strives to encourage and inspire professional football players in committing to a climate-friendly lifestyle, increasing local and global awareness of climate change, as well as promoting inspiring dialogue and solutions aimed at solving the environmental and climate crisis. We Play Green hopes to reach every corner of the globe with the message that it's not too late to change the course of the climate for the better. So let's get together and activate the global football family.
So I think we've seen just over the last 45 minutes that whether you're using football to activate fans for sustainable practices, whether you're turning something like a gun into a musical instrument, that you can actually design processes that will allow us to see a much more sustainable world for everyone. And we should think about not just how we build things, who is building the things, and how we want the facilities and the culture to be used in the future. And so very happy that sports and sustainability and music and sustainability was part of this conference. Thank you for your time.